Indiana Basketball Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. The Indiana Basketball Weekly Show, as always, is powered by Betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding the online casino or sportsbook that's right for you. Check them out at Betting.net. All right, I am your co-host, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my other co-host, 1981 national champion, a member of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Hey, I'm not quite as good following the Purdue game. I think we were feeling a little bit better about ourselves and Indiana basketball than we were after Sunday. But thank God for the great weekend of professional football that saved us all from a dismal college basketball performance. If you happen to be an IE fan,
All right. Indiana lost to Michigan on Sunday afternoon in Bloomington by a
Mike, don't
final
get so
score
excited. Don't be
of
so
80
excited.
to 62. The Hoosiers trailed 38-30 at halftime and were led in the game by Trace Jackson Davis with 17 points. Indiana will host Penn State tomorrow night at 8:30. And what I would say is probably a must-win game now. Indiana's 14-5, 5-4 in the Big Ten. The thing I take away from this is this. It's hard to play a game like Purdue and a couple days later come back and play Michigan at home. But you have to be able to if you want to do something with this season. Now, I will give you this. I think Michigan was ranked in most people's top 10 at the start of the year. They've had some COVID issues. They haven't really played as well as people thought they would. But it seems that Michigan showed up on Sunday, Steve.
Showed up, they did. Yeah, I we clearly got outplayed from the tip off of this basketball game. I don't think we were really truly ever into this game, or were prepared to play this game. And you make a comment that says this is a very difficult thing to do to come off a win like Purdue, and then turn around and play a Michigan game like this. I mean, this Michigan game's a nationally televised game. Okay, this is not on Fox Sports Net or Big Ten
Yeah,
Network.
it's
This
not
is
like
on
they're playing.
CBS.
It's not like they're playing Eastern Michigan on a
Yeah,
Thursday night at
and this
six.
is a game that you has as much meaning to you playing because your friends are all over the country. You're going to see you play, and this is the one chance for them to watch you play and to see how good the Hoosiers are. It's a great showcase game for Indiana. There were all the reasons in the world why this team should have been ready to play this game, and they flat out were just not ready. Looking at the stats, and I know you're the stats guy, really. I'll let you cover, but the things I point out, just without getting into the details, I'll let you do that. You know, our guard play goes right back into where they've been all season. You and I both have hampered or hemmed and hawed all season long about the guard play's got to elevate itself to our front court play, and then we become a very good basketball team. We did that against Purdue. Our guard play, we get darn near 40 points out of our two guards, and everybody's pitching in. The off guards too, and making contributions to this game, and we handled Purdue relatively calmly. And then we come back now, and we get minimal point production, minimal effort. Um, we only have 8 turnovers over the game. If you've got only got 8 turnovers and you're losing by 18 points, you're not trying anything. You're just kind of going through the motions, I believe.
Well, Michigan
You
had
know,
14 turnovers. The issue here was 3-point shooting, and let's face it, 3-point defense, which there was none of at all in this game. And when you look at this, I mean, Indiana converted on just 5 of 19. Michigan, though, made 11 out of 17 from three. And I think the big issue here is how effective the Wolverines were at breaking down IU off the dribble to create open looks. They also passed very effectively out of the paint when Indiana double teamed. And Rob Fennessy was non existent. He was 0 for 3. I mean, he was still feeling himself from Thursday night, maybe. But the other thing that really concerns me, there's two things here. Number one is Mike Woodson said in his press conference that he wasn't interested in changing the starting five. But Indiana wasn't good defensively throughout this game. But Michigan was even more productive on offense against Indiana's starting five. The Wolverines outscored IU 14-6 to open the second half. After outscoring the Hoosiers 17-9 to open the game. And what was it, Coach Knight? I think you say the first 5 minutes of the first half and the first 5 minutes of the second half were huge. We got dominated there, and when the starting five's getting beat that bad, and they looked lethargic, I don't know why you wouldn't want to make a change at some point.
Yeah, if this team was cranking along at 17-2, I'll buy the argument. I'm not changing my lineup. I'll buy that argument. But
yeah, my
now,
argument would be right this. If this team had played a couple really good games in a row, I would say, well, we knew Michigan was pretty good, and they finally clicked on all cylinders. They were hot. There's nothing you can do about it. But the effort that I saw was not great.
Well,
Sefton's listening. Yeah. Sefton's on.
Yeah,
says,
I know. He's back.
Man. There you
Sefton,
go.
we missed you. We had a blast with the Jamaican boys, and we're going to have them on next week on our show. So thank you for your connection there. But yeah, good to hear. Now Sefton's gotten into college basketball. I like to see that. He's a broad-scoped man. I like it. But anyway, back to Indiana. There's so much to take away from this. I've said this many times in our programming of doing IU shows over the last years. This team does not play with great intensity, consistently enough to overcome the deficiencies that they have. Playing hard will win ball games for you. Just simply playing harder than your opponent will win games when you're maybe not as talented, or you're facing a team that's shooting 62% from three-point land, or 59% from two-point range. You could overcome all that. If you just go out and hustle. Like I said, our perimeter play was pathetic. We were allowing them to rule the perimeter. And what that did was, it's something we've talked about Indiana's team, that allowed Dixon to run wild. I mean, this guy, he ran 25 points on 9 of 12 shooting. Thank God the guy only got 12 shots off.
Well, he scored 18 of those points in the second half, including 3 of 4 from 3. This is a 7-footer doing this. He was effective on the block and popping out on the arc on ball screens. He also had a hand in Trace Jackson-Davis and Race Thompson, going a total of 10 of 24 from the field.
We're getting no help down inside on him from our guard play. Our guard plays in La La Land, and I'm not talking about L.A. I mean, because it was sunny and nice out here that day, and it wasn't sunny and nice in Bloomington, obviously. But the guard play, Mike, I would say maybe time to shake things up a little bit. Trust me, and I know that from my days with Coach Knight. I got shook up all the time. I mean, if I was playing badly and in the starting lineup, I was out of the starting lineup.
Yeah, but damn, who do you put in the starting lineup? Because you look at this. Jordan Geronimo, 11 minutes, 1 for 3. He had a rebound. Trey Galloway, 23 minutes, 0 for 5. Rob Fennessy, 18 minutes, 1 for 5. Yeah. It's not like anybody off the bench is doing anything either. You had Durr, the center, who was 2 for 2 in garbage time.
I really don't want to be critical. And I'm not going to get critical yet, and I have not been to an IU practice, so I'm speaking off of past experience is what I'm speaking off of, not off of current events going on that basketball program right now inside the practice facility, inside the locker room. But what it looks like to me is things at times we went through this period was the intensity in practice just started falling off. And Knight knew that immediately. And, man, we dialed up the intensity in practice. That's literally where Knight would come to somebody and say, Risley, go get Tolbert kicked out of practice today. And that was his way of saying, hey, I want some fighting. I want mad people on the court today. I want the intensity level of everybody to rise. I want everybody on edge.
Energy is what this team lacks. Consistently lacks.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know that it's there. I don't know if it's not translating to games, if it's there. And Mike lived through the same period of time I did. He knows exactly what that feeling's like.
Well, how about
this, Steve? I say this, let me say this, then you can have it. I say this now, and I say this till the day I die. I tell this to anybody in any lecture or talk I give. My time at IU, the 4 years I was there, in the 137 games I played as a Hoosier, those games were a vacation compared to practice.
Yeah,
That
but
when we
you
had a
also
game,
know
that was a
you all
day off. We could rest on game day. The intensity in a game was never going to be as tough as the intensity was in every single practice we had.
well, I think this. I think it's safe to assume if you don't have intensity in the games, you not having intensity consistently in practice. I've never
Right.
seen a team that practiced with no intensity, but when the game came, practiced
Boom.
intensely or played intensely, and I've never seen the opposite either. So I've never seen it. So I just don't. We don't see the practices, but I mean, practice is kind of the game is kind of the finished product of what you get from practice. So with that
Yeah.
being said, something's wrong here.
Yeah. Something is amiss in this program that's not quite. And the thing is now you've got two players, former players there that are running this system, um, and a Thad Mata who's making contributions to this program comes from a Butler program where and he played in the Big Ten. He knows what this
Well, I mean,
intensity
Thad Matta took
mentality is.
Xavier. I think Thad Matta took Xavier to the Elite Eight once or twice. He took Ohio State to one or two Final Fours. So he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Woodson's been in the NBA, taking a team to the playoffs. Well, I don't know about Fife. He's just been an assistant coach,
No,
but
he's been an assistant because he's got a championship ring.
he's still an assistant coach. Not the same thing as
Still, he
being a
still has
head
a
coach.
ring.
But yeah, but that would be a direct correlation of who he was the assistant coach to. So I'm not
Yes,
going
of
to claim
course.
that Mike Woodson is Tom Izzo or ever going to be because there's not too many guys like
But
that.
he lived and breathed that
Yeah,
every day in practice. And I've got to believe Izzo is a man that I really wasn't any more pissed off in practice as I would want Knight pissed off in practice. And I just don't know what the sense and the atmosphere and the culture is like at IU in practice. There
well,
is that possible caveat and cliff that Mike has of still have that mentality of an NBA coach. In the NBA, practices aren't that difficult. They don't want to get players hurt. They don't want $1 million players getting beat up in practice. Just like as well as anybody, most of pro football is no pads. There's
yeah, nobody's hitting
maybe
anybody.
one day of contact, of light contact or something like that. But other than that, there's no touching of each other. It's not worth it.
No.
Not to have somebody go down because of that. And I don't know if that's the mentality uh, at IU practices or what, but now you're starting to see it off. All of our shooting is falling off. We only shot 39%, and we were a team up until about 3 games ago. We're averaging over 50% field goal percentage for the year, and we're falling now down into the 40s. 3-point field goal percentage, 26%. Um, I still don't see us taking horrendously bad shots. I can't fault the fact that there were only 8 turnovers in the game, but I think that's because of not trying hard enough on things, not because of making bonehead plays. I don't know. But they're
Well,
getting themselves. Now, what they've done here now is by losing to Michigan. Now, Michigan is a team that it looks like now they may be competing with for that one or two last spots in the Big Ten to get into the dance. Now, you've just given Michigan a quadrant one win because Indiana is quadrant one right now. They're ranked 32nd on the Ken Pond ratings or whatever it is, which is
yeah.
what the NCAA uses. So they're a quadrant one team right now. Now, whether they stay there or not remains to be seen, but I think they will. But now you just brought another competitor for those limited Big Ten spots. They're going to go. You're trying hard to knock yourself out of the quadrant one situation, which is a lock into the tournament. Um, it's not making sense for the way Indiana's playing at this point in the year. And I look at the schedule coming up. They've got Penn State. Penn State always plays us tough. That's a smart physical basketball team. Maybe not a down year for them, but still. Then we've got to go at Maryland. We are known atrociously as not a good road team. And Maryland's the team, but while they're having an off year as well too, they we thought Michigan was having an off year, and look what happened to us.
Well, Maryland beat Illinois a couple nights ago
Yeah, and
after
then we
getting
then we've
blown
got to bring
out, and
Illinois into Assembly Hall to play,
yeah,
and,
and they'll
and
be
then we, and
healthy
then we go
by
to
then.
Northwestern, which you said all season long you thought Northwestern was an underrated
Well,
basketball
they're the
team.
kind of team, kind of like Penn State, where if you don't play well, they'll beat you.
Play them hard, they're
Yeah.
going to come at you.
And my key is we're going to look now at the Penn State game, which happens tomorrow night. My issue with the Penn State game is it was eerily similar to the Michigan game we saw, only it was closer. But Penn State out rebounded IU 39-29, had 11 offensive rebounds. John Harrar had 12 boards for the Nittany Lions. Trace Jackson Davis had just 5 rebounds in 34 minutes. The other thing was Indiana made just 4 of 17 from 3-point range. And meanwhile, Penn State had several timely threes, hit 11 out of 22 from the 3-point range. And once again, a poor defensive start to the second half because IU or Penn State opened up the second half hitting 7 out of 11 shots, including 3 of 4 3-pointers, which gave them a 51-41 lead. So everything we just talked about in the Michigan game, we saw happen, I think it was January 2nd or 3rd against Penn State. So to me, happening one time, maybe Michigan got hot. Happened a second time, to me, it's got something to do with defense. And it also has to do something with adjustments and preparation because it seems like the start of games and the first 5 minutes of the second half for the Hoosiers are trouble areas, which is very concerning.
Yeah, that should be the time you want to go out and light things. That's what Michigan did. That's what Michigan did. They came out in the first 5 minutes of the first half and the second half and lit us up. And then you're playing catch up the whole way there. And out of our bigs, we only get what 25 points out of both of them, 20, 26. And
Yeah.
we were getting that out of one of them alone, and then the other one was pitching in between Trace and Race. Now we're just getting production of what one player was doing earlier in the year. Now I don't know if that's a product of just not getting any help from the point guards to come down on these people. And I give him the fact, Dixon was a 7-footer, and he's a decent ball player. I mean, the kid's not a bad ball player. Um, so, uh, but we've got to be able to overcome that. We're going to face that here on out. We handled it fairly well against Purdue, and we're not able to get it done here. I think the biggest disappointment for me and is just the fact that how flat we came out after a huge win, and then to go to a nationally televised game and show your wares to the country that Indiana's back and Indiana's for real, and then just to come and get blown out by 18 points by what's considered a relatively mediocre Michigan team right now is very disappointing
Well, I just
for
got a
everybody. And
text.
I'm sure the coaching staff's not happy. I'm sure the players are not happy, but I'm also sure they should be working like hell on a solution to this. And if one solution is shaking up your starting lineup a little bit, that's not the end of the world. Trey Galloway certainly has earned more playing time. I don't think. I think Millicott is getting to the point now where he's taking shots and looking at the bench, wondering if he's coming out. He seems to be the first out most of the times now. I mean, you can begin to see some patterns happening. Hoping that we can keep Trace Jackson out of foul trouble. He's been getting into foul trouble here a lot lately. The kid's just getting tired, probably. He's carried his team most of the season, and he's probably getting a little run down. And so it's a critical stretch for them right now. The next 4 or 5 ball games because the season they're playing a lot of home games right now. If you look at the schedule, I think what the last 2 games have been at home. Then they
Yeah, Purdue and
then they
Michigan.
got another home game tomorrow. Then they go to Maryland. They come back home to play Illinois, and then they start a road venture where, toward the end of the season, the bulk of their games, because they play so many home games early, they're going to be spending the last part of the season on the road.
The interesting thing, looking at their schedule, they only have one time where they play back to back road games.
No, really, seriously, when is
Believe it
that?
or not, they go at Northwestern February 8th, at Michigan State February 12th. Everything else is from here on out. We'll play at
1 and
home, we'll
1.
play away, we'll play home, away, away, home, away, home, away, home, away. So, I mean, the problem here right now is this: the Big Ten to me has turned into top heavy, and what I mean there is you've got Purdue, you've got Ohio State, Michigan State, Wisconsin,
Wisconsin,
and Illinois, I
Illinois.
think, once you
You
get
got to throw
Coburn
Illinois in
healthy.
there.
So you got those five teams right there.
Right.
Everybody else, from six to
Dogfight.
about 10 or 11 is in basically a big ass mosh pit where maybe two or three out of those six are going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And Indiana's already lost to Iowa. They don't get another shot at Iowa. They've lost to Michigan. They don't get another shot at Michigan. So those are issues. And also, when you look at this, they've got a stretch here coming up. If they don't get this straightened up, where they've got to go February 12th at Michigan State, February 15th home against Wisconsin, February 19th at Ohio State. So this is getting kind of scary here. They need to get this Penn State win. They need to go on the road to beat Maryland and come back and beat Illinois, and they're in pretty good shape. But if they come out here and only go 1-2 in these next three games, you could have some issues with the rest of the way the rest of the schedule lines up. They could still miss the NCAA tournament again.
Well, if they keep playing with the intensity level they're playing right now, they it's 50-50. I mean, they let go a game this Sunday that they needed to have and just get that one under the belt because maybe Michigan starts their charge and they become a quadrant one win a team, and then that all of a sudden becomes a quadrant one win for us. We pick one up freebie, having not to play them again. We pick up another quadrant one win
Yeah,
if they
because
move
really,
up. So
Steve, when I look at the schedule, I think Indiana is up 18-12 or 19-11, and that puts you kind of on
right
the
on the
last
bubble.
four in or out.
Yep. They're heading right back there if they don't change things right now. So there's a multitude of things they need to look at. The old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, if it's broke, fix it. And right now, our guard play we just can't get any consistency out of it. We can't get any consistent production out of our guard play. Any consistent defense out of our guard play. And it's starting now to affect our front court play significantly. So, I don't know what to tell you. It's time to recognize this and make some changes. Don't keep doing the same thing. As that old adage goes, that's insanity.
Yeah, because we're starting to get into a little bit of a trouble area, which seems like we always get into at this point of the season, over especially the last 5 years or so.
Yeah, I thought maybe 4 games ago we really were starting to pick up our intensity level, starting to move and cruise, and starting to be kind of a team that nobody wanted to play. I don't want to face Indiana. They're playing hard. They're coming after you. They have probably the best inside front court of anybody in the Big Ten right now. But we've kind of shut that valve off all of a sudden, and now we're just floundering, uncertain what we really got going on. But I don't know. I know that, and I hate that I always go back to these days of me playing, but I know that there would be some ass whooping going on in practice right now about how hard you're playing, what kind of contribution and effort you're making to this basketball team, and there would be changing of jersey colors all throughout practice. I mean, I know there were times that I would have a white jersey on, which would be the front five. Risley put on a red shirt, and then somebody else, Turner would get in trouble. Turner put on a red shirt. Risley, put your white shirt back on. There was just a lot of movement in practice, just night scaring people, threatening them, and looking for a combination of five guys who are going to go out there and mesh and play hard basketball. But we're not in a
Steve,
position anymore.
iron sharpens iron, And that's what he was trying to do, would be my guess.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Woody will start to do that pretty soon. Gunners has a question. Kevin Ollie won his lawsuit against his alma mater, UConn. Who is coaching there now? It is Dan Hurley. I think they're currently ranked in the top 22, so Hurley's doing a good job. Gunner also off of YouTube said the video was buffering on Facebook. Same thing happened yesterday. I checked it on mine. It wasn't buffering. It could be your computer. It could be my computer. It could be Restream. It could be a lot of things, but we will check that out. Thanks for the heads up, Gunner. Anything else we want to discuss before we wrap it up, Steve?
No, no, I think we've talked about enough going into it. So it's S or get off the pot time right now. And I think you know how that saying goes.
Yeah.
We no longer have a 1 or 2 game pad that we could say, okay, we can let this one go. We let it go Sunday.
Yeah,
you know, that was our padding.
Night.
Yeah, they've got to win tomorrow night, and now they have to go to Maryland and win. They have got to get a road win at Maryland.
All right, guys, head over now and see for yourself. Betting.net makes it easy to find all of the legal online casinos or sportsbook in your state. We will have our Indiana show on Thursday, Steve. Sound good?
This Thursday?
Yeah.
I'm in.
All right, say 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock?
Or you want to go later?
No, that's fine.
All right. Thursday at 1, we'll be back. Hopefully, the bearers of good news. And not just standing here blindly staring at a camera and reciting the same thing. That
I know, and that's what I feel like we're doing.
And we can't rebound. I mean, me and Joe Kelly do a Bengals show all the time. We've done it for 6 years to get to this year. So, if you know,
we've done it. We've done it for 6-7 years with Indiana basketball.
I know,
and it's always been the same show. And I really felt we're getting out of that. We can start talking about great shot selection, great hustle, great hard play, turnovers going down. I thought we were going to be able to talk about that, but we're right back sitting here going, we wish we didn't have to have this show again because it's just rehashing what we've already rehashed.
All right, real quick, Gunner says, did you play for the great Bobby Knight, Steve? That's my coach, regardless of what anyone said.
Yes, I did. I played from 78 to 1981. We won the national championship in 1981 with Isaiah Thomas.
Hey, don't forget, you won the NIT in 1979, and it
won
counts
the NIT
because you beat
in
Purdue.
1979. That was back when the NIT meant something because
they
really did not take.
But we were playing teams. Purdue. We were playing Purdue, so it didn't matter.
Well, but also Ohio State was in that Final Four in the NIT, which had Kellogg, Williams, Kelvin Ramsey. There were 3 Big Ten teams, and Michigan State was on its way to beat your alma mater for the national championship. So the Big Ten fared very well in 1979 on the 2 major national tournaments.
Yeah, well,
we owned 4 of the 8 spots available in the Final Fours that year.
Good for you, Steve. But 3 of them didn't really matter.
And you had Indiana in there, which is as close to or Indiana State, which is as close to a Big Ten team as you can get without being one at that point in time.
No, they weren't close to being a Big Ten team. They were better than anybody in the Big Ten except for Michigan State.
Yeah, well, but they weren't. But yeah, that's the point I was.
They had Larry Bird.
So. They would have fared well in the Big Ten, so that was a good era.
They would have fared well anywhere with Larry Bird.
With Larry Bird, they would have fared it well anywhere.
I mean, really, Michigan State came out of nowhere because of Magic Johnson. Because I don't remember Michigan State in the early mid '70s being very good either. It was just the fact that those 2 guys went there, about 1978, and changed the fortune of both programs completely. I mean, Larry Bird lost in the second round to Houston by a point in the NIT in 1978.
Yeah.
That wasn't as interesting as I thought it might be when I started to say it.
Yeah.
But what the hell? It was Indiana State. All right. Hold on.
All right.
I know you got to be a Coach Knight player, Steve. I see no softness in you, unlike Coach Mike. Whatever.
Well, I don't know that Coach Mike is soft. I know Mike.
Trying to kiss Steve's ass, all right?
I played 3 years in high school against Mike Woodson, and he was a bitch of a competitor to play against. And I played 3 years with him at Indiana, and he was a bitch of a player to play with and against in practice. And Mike would go at you as hard as anybody that there was. And I know he's capable of translating this. I generally, in these kind of cases, will put the first set of blame on the players. for just not absorbing what these
You know the
coaches.
thing that worries me, Steve? Great players usually don't make great coaches.
No, they don't. And especially the other thing you got to realize with Mike, he's in a learning curve too. That all of his coaching skill sets have come from NBA, not
Yeah, but aren't
college.
almost all the assistants college guys?
Should be, yeah. So they should be helping out quite a bit. And Mata's got a good
Well,
college
I was
coaching
trying to go
resume.
this way. I was trying to go, since great players, don't make great coaches, maybe Steve Risley should be the head coach or Jim
No,
Bones.
Steve Risley should not be the head coach of
Why not?
Indiana
You're not doing anything
University.
else.
He's not smart enough.
let's face it, it's going to be weird to watch you wearing the same white Colt sweatshirt for every game, but it would be great.
Hey, I don't know that I ever saw Coach Knight wear an IU sweatshirt in
Yeah, he did.
practice.
He had in the games he did. He had
Games he did, yeah,
Adidas. Yeah, I actually
but
owned one of those red and white sweatshirts. I think everybody in the
those
state of
logo
Indiana
athletic,
did.
the old logo athletic ones.
The Adidas, I think it
Oh,
was.
yeah, well, that's for you went to
Yeah, the
Adidas,
red and
yeah.
white. That would have been like early
Uh,
'90s, I think, but I'm not
but
sure.
I think the IU basketball program's in good hands. I just think it's a time now where if Gunners thinks that I'm a little harder, then I think Mike's got to show that to his team and let them know Mike's been through this before as a player, and he knows how tough this can get real quick, and it's going to get tough real quick. So
I think it's already gotten tough
he
real quick.
translates that to his players. I think his team's talented enough to make a strong run.
Put
But
it
it's
like
go
this,
time.
Steve. I would go
It
this
is go
far.
time.
I would go this far. If they beat Penn State tomorrow, if they lose to Penn State tomorrow night, DNIT's where they'll end up. That's a game that has to be won since it's at home. It's a beatable team. They cannot lose a home game here.
No, they can't lose another home game. Well, it's the only one they've lost was Michigan. They were 14-0 at home,
Hold
so they had
on.
not. That's not the fear. The fear is they've got to learn how to win on the road. They have got to go better than 500 on the road from
All
here on
right,
out.
real quick, Gunners. If you watch Super Bowl 23, just look for 58. That was Joe Kelly. So there you go. Joe played on the game. He was an outside linebacker. Gunners watched our Bengals show last night and was asking about Joe Kelly. My co-host who played for the Bengals in '88 was trying to look him up. Just do a Wikipedia on Joe Kelly NFL.
Well,
You'll
see,
find it.
Gunner, what you learn here is now this is where Mike Goodpaster is a genius. Mike is smart enough. This is like I spent 4 years working for Dan Quayle when he was a U.S. senator, and everybody always wanted to harp on Dan of being an idiot. Dan was really a very good common sense senator. He knew what to do.
Yeah, he just
It's
couldn't
just
spell potato.
couldn't spell potato, basically. But the one thing that that Quayle and Mike have in common, they surround themselves with intelligent people. So you take like a Joe Kelly, you take like a me, and see how
Okay.
we're always working with Mike on these shows.
I was
And
thinking more of like
Mike's
Dan.
a great orator. Now Mike is one of the greatest orators I've seen and listened to. He really knows how to read a stat sheet. He can read a teleprompter. He can get it off good, and he delivers information tremendously well. And he knows what questions to ask people to feed off of us. But the geniuses here are like the Joe Kellys or the Steve Risleys or the Dan Kornhausers that he works with a lot. The Sam,
You mean the guy that finished 18
Kornhauser may
games?
be a stretch.
He was 18 games back in the NFL pick'em
Yeah,
shit,
I
Steve.
know. The strategy, the guys like Bobby Sheridan, just a pick'em genius.
He is. He's not a pick'em genius. He's an idiot.
But he surrounds himself with genius people,
Yeah,
and it always makes Mike look like, because Mike is the leader of our F troop, and he is our Colonel Will Palmer, and we go forward from there.
I don't think Bobby Sheridan counts as being in the F troop.
So, Mike, I'm going to let you close this out before we say something we don't want to say.
Alrighty. Oh, we're gonna hold on. We got another. Oh, I gotta see what the comment is. That's a low blow, Steve. You saying Coach needs you to show off his genius. He's laughing. I like Gunners. Gunners might be my favorite now.
There you go, Gunner. I'm with you, Gunner. Yep.
Gunner might have pulled ahead of Sefton. All
Mike,
right.
oh, wait a minute, Gunner, let me just close it with this with you. If that's a low blow, in the low blow category, the score is Mike Goodpaster 1,000,002 to Risley 5.
No, I've
so
never
I'm way
issued
behind.
with any low blows. It's when you squat down with your head. I can't help it.
Well, because I don't have my glasses on. I'm blind.
All right, guys. Tomorrow night, we'll have the Cincinnati Bengals Weekly Show at 7 o'clock with myself, Joe Kelly, Ty Robbins. Our special guest will be Bengal Jim Foster. If you're in the Cincinnati area, he's on TV constantly now. He's in the NFL Hall of Fans for the Bengals, but he's a friend of me, Joe, and Ty, and we're going to sit down and we're going to discuss the AFC Championship game that's coming up. And Steve, do you want to do Surviving Events tomorrow?
Let's talk about it tonight.
Okay. Well, my wife said that I have to go to bed as soon as this is done because I've been really tired lately. I'm kidding, Steve. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. You can follow Steve Risley at srisley34. You can follow me at Grueling Truth. Make sure you check us out on iHeartRadio, iTunes, over 300 different outlets where you can find the Grueling Truth Sports Network. So, for now, for Steve Risley, for Mike Goodpaster, you've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.